we are going to learn variables in Java. So first of all, what is variables? Variables are nothing but, suppose if I take example, like if I'm going to vegetable market and I want to take some vegetable. So to take vegetable, I need some I need carry bag, right? So that I can keep vegetables inside a carry bag. Similarly, in the case of programming, if I want to store data, I need some container, and that container is nothing but variable. So what is variable? If variables are nothing but it is a container which is used to store data. And the question is, how many types of variables in Java? In Java we have two types of variable. First one is local variable and the global variable. In local variable itself is one type is local variable, but in the case of global variable we have two types, static and non-static. So let's discuss one by one. So I am going first for local variable. So let's create one class called demo. Inside a demo class, I am creating one main method, and inside a main method I am creating one variable. Okay. So what is local variable? A variable which is declared inside a method, inside a class, inside a method, inside a constructor, inside a block. A variable which is declared in these threes, like method, constructor and block, and that variables are called as local variable. And one more thing is, if I want to access the local variable, so here I am getting, here I am getting compile time error. Why? Because local variables don't have default value. Okay. And if I want to access local variable, before accessing I have to initialize the local variable so that I can access here. So let's see the output. See, we are getting 0. So that is all about the local variable. And one more thing is, local variable we can access inside a local scope only. Suppose I'm creating one more method here, public static void, and test method is there. And if I want to access that variable a inside this method, see, I'm not able to access. Why? Because local variable can access inside a local scope only. Like, we can access this a variable inside this scope only. That is a local variable. So that's all about local variable. Let's discuss about the global variables. So I'm taking one more class so that it makes more sense. I'm taking a class called student. Inside a student class, I'm creating one main method. So I'm creating some variables here, like int student id, string student name, and string school name. So I created some variables here. So we are going to discuss static and non-static variable. So what is the, first of all, what is global variable? A variable which is declared inside a class but outside a method, outside the constructor and outside the block, and that variables are called as global variable. And in global variable we have two types, static and non-static. So how to know that? which variable is static and which is non-static. So if here I created three variables, and in all three variables I didn't use a, a keyword called static. That's why the all variables are non-static variable. If I use a keyword called static, then this variable automatically becomes non-static, sorry, static variable. So what is the difference between static and non-static variable? The major difference is static variable stores only once in the memory, but non-static variables stores multiple times. It depends on the number of object, how many objects we are creating. So, and the one more difference is static variables belongs to the class and non-static variables belongs to the object. And non-static variables are also called as instance variable. So when we should go for a static and when we should go for non-static variable. Suppose here student ID is different for every different for each student object, right? Each every student is having different student ID, right? So we cannot make it static. Why? Because we know static variables store only once. If I am making a student ID static, it will store only once in the memory. So it is not correct for the student object, right? Because each student object is having different student ID, so it will store for each student. So it should be non-static variable. So which one should be static? we have to make we have to make school name static. Why? Because it is same for each student. School name will be same for every student, so that's why we are making it static. You can make non-static also, but it will store, if you are creating 100 object, for all 100 object the school name will be same and it will store 100 times. So it is not good, right? Because it will take lot of memory. So for saving memory, we have to make the school name is static. Okay. That is all about the both. So how for then how to access the variables? So if I want to access static variable, I have to use the class name, like student dot school name. And we can access in one more way. Directly we can use class name also. So let's execute the program. See, I am getting a null. Why? Because global variables is having default value, that's why we are getting null. And why null? Because string is having default value is null, that's why we are getting here null. So here one more thing I am adding. I'm getting one more variable here, local variable, but I am using the same name, school name, but I am here giving some different name, ABC school, but here I am passing some different name like DAV school. So my question is, for this I will get what value? For this I will get what value? We have to say, guys. So in that case we will get this DAV school, and in this case we will get ABC school. Why? Let's discuss. See, for the for the ninth line of code we are getting DAV school. For 10th line of code we are getting ABC school. Why? Because there is one more concept called variable shadowing. What is the meaning of it? Meaning of it is like, global variable, this global variable and this local variable can have same name, but inside a local scope, inside a local scope, local variable will dominate. That's why if I am writing directly school name, it is printing this. Why? Because local variable is dominating here. That is a concept here variables are doing. And so how to access a non-static variable? So non-static variable we know belongs to the object, so we have to create here object, student object we have to create, and then we can access. So student s1 equal to new student, and here s1 dot student id and s2 dot, sorry, s1 dot student name. So what I will get here, will get 0 and null. See, 0 null, 0 and null. Why? Because for the student id is what, in type, and we know for in type default value is 0, and student name is string type, and we know for string default value is null. That's why we are getting 0 and null. So how to get a genuine value? So we have to first initialize like 101 and s1 dot name like Rama. So in that case we will get genuine value. Okay, this all about the variables in Java. And here if you don't want to do like that, so you can do one thing, you have to create here constructor. We have to create constructor, student constructor, and we have to take, I am creating here local variable with same name. So here I am using this keyword. Why? I will tell you guys. This dot student name equal to student name. So what is the meaning of this line? Two lines. So here student, this student id and student name both are local variable, and so if I do only like that, if I do only std id equal to std id, what is the meaning of this? As I said already, here these variable sorting concept comes in the picture. Local variable and global variable can have same name, but inside a local scope, local variable will dominate. So if I am doing this student id equal to student id means 101 equal to 101, it is not making any sense. So if my purpose is to store whatever value I am sending, it should store in this global variable. So here I am using this keyword. This dot sid student id belongs to this id, and I am storing this, whatever I am sending using constructor, it will store in the global variable. That's why we are using this keyword. Similarly, this dot student name, it is representing this student name, it is representing this, and whatever we are sending, it will store in this. So how to do that? So while creating like student object only, we have to pass value here like 101 comma Rama. We have to do this, and we have to remove these both lines, so we will get the same output. That's all about the variables in Java. Thank you so much for watching.